Good day, my name's Graham Ward and I'm here to take you through the next unit standard, 15219. The unit standard title is Develop and Implement a Strategy and Action Plans for a Team, Department or Division. Let's take a look at the specific outcomes for this unit standard. The specific outcomes are: develop a strategy for the department, division or section. Develop action plans for the department, division or section. Implement the action plans. And lastly, review the action plans. Let's take a look at Toyota, for example. Their strategic plan was to gain market share in the US market. What they did was design vehicles and price those vehicles to be able to tackle the US market, which was against General Motors and Ford. A difficult market to enter into, but strategically Japan wanted to do such a thing. A strategic plan in this case with regard to Toyota was something much further down the line. The plan was 20 years down the line, in fact. Every goal and objective they had was designed to meet that strategy. So let's take a look at what strategic planning really is and its definition. Strategic planning is defining the strategy or direction of the organization. In other words, what they're going to do, who they do it for, and what differentiates the company in the long term against its competitors. So what Toyota decided to do was to create vehicles to compete against Ford and General Motors in the US market. So they defined their target market as that being the United States of America and car users or drivers in the United States. That's who they designed their vehicles for. By doing such a strategy, they had to differentiate themselves from a pricing perspective and a value for money perspective in order to enter the US market. Bear in mind that General Motors and Ford were very ensconced in the US market, and this was a large chunk to take out if Toyota was to do it correctly. A 20-year strategy set out about by Toyota was implemented slowly but surely, and they began to tackle the US market and gain market share. So the vision of an organization is where it foresees itself in a few years from now. In the case of Toyota, it was 20 years from then. They wanted to take market share from Ford and from General Motors, and they achieved this. The mission statement, therefore, of the organization is how to achieve the vision. What do they have to do today or over the next few months in order to make that vision come alive, in order to reach the end goal, which may be a 20-year exercise in the case of Toyota? The mission statement is typically something setting goals and objectives of the organization to reach the end vision of the organization. And in order to achieve the mission, an organization is going to have goals and objectives. These goals and objectives are typically achieved because of action plans. Action plans define what has to be done by who and by when. Achieving action plans ensures that the organization is on goal to meeting its mission statement and therefore to meet its vision statement. Let's define this just a bit further. So a vision statement of our organization might be to be the preferred further education and training provider in South Africa. That's our vision. Our mission, on the other hand, is how we achieve the vision statement. Our mission might be to enlighten, delight and enthuse all of our learners. So everything we do within our mission statement is to achieve the end goal, and that being the vision statement. So let's just look at the concept of goals and objectives. Goals are still more specific than vision statements and mission statements. However, they're broad in the sense that, for example, you might say our goal would be to win the Super 16 rugby. But our objective might have to be to win the game on Saturday coming up. So a goal and an objective are slightly different in the sense that a goal is a bit more unspecific, yet an objective specifies the end result. So objectives are specific measurables your organization wants to achieve, and they typically fall under the following categories. They could be regular objectives. In other words, meeting the annual budget. They could be problem-solving objectives, for example, to improve productivity by 7.5%. In other words, solving various problems to meet specific objectives. Entering a market might also be a problem-solving objective. And finally, you get innovative objectives, and these might be to develop a whole new product line or open a new market up. So the objectives of your organization should be measurable, and they typically fall under those three categories. So as we've heard earlier, action plans typically need to be what has to be done by who and by when. And we often use the SMART acronym to describe action plans. Action plans should be specific. In other words, they must specify exactly what needs to be achieved through the action plan. They should be measurable. So let's achieve 7.5% increase in productivity. They need to be achievable. If an action plan is not achievable, the organization and staff will become and lose morale. They need to be realistic. An action plan has to be realistic. You need to be able to achieve it, and it must be attainable by the organization and the resources that are at hand. And they need to be time-based. Let's perform this action plan and do it by the 3rd month, or within 3 months, or by the end of June, whenever it may be. Setting a time span is an important part to an action plan. That means it's not a never, and you will therefore achieve your action plan in that allotted time. Of course, every plan can go wrong, and if it does go wrong, you're going to need to have a contingency plan. A contingency plan is all about an alternative to the action plan going wrong. What else can be done? These things often happen along the way, so as you're going through your action plan, there are variances that you need to take into consideration. And these variances are problem solved and a contingency plan set in place in order to still meet the objectives of the team or the organization. In order to achieve your action plan, you're going to have certain things in place. Let's take a look at typically what these might mean. So you need to have the right staff. Having the right staff is very important to achieving your action plan or your goal. If you don't have the right staff, you're unlikely to have the talent and or team skills to meet the objectives that you've set yourself. Ensure you have the right client fit. In other words, make sure that what you're trying to achieve or the action you're trying to put into place, in fact, has the right client base to accept this action. And make sure that your action plans fall in line with the mission and vision statement of your company. You don't want to be going about something here and it's not in line with the vision or mission statement of your organization. Always try to make use of technology to ease the difficulties and the tasks involved in achieving your action plan. Computers and other technology may assist you to achieve your action plan easier than if you didn't make use of technology. You need to ensure that your organization has the correct systems in place in order to be able to achieve the action plan or the mission or goal that you've set yourself. Without the right systems in place, it's going to make it harder for you to achieve that action plan. Milestones along the way within the action plan should be goal-orientated. Ensure that you set simple little goals in order to achieve the end action plan goal. Achieving small goals will help your team feel confident and reach the end action plan goal. Lastly, but possibly even the first point, is to make sure that all stakeholders are aware of what the action plan is all about. What's the end goal in mind? Communicate this through to all stakeholders within the team so that they can achieve and set themselves talent-wise and task-wise to achieving the end goal of the organization. As just mentioned, communication within an organization is crucial. And where there's communication, there's likely to be varied ideas, and of course there's the chance that conflict could occur. Another acronym that you could use is the AEIOU acronym in order to solve conflict amongst members in the team. Let's take a look at the AEIOU acronym for solving problems and team conflict. A. Assume those in the team mean well when it comes to conflict. E. Express your own feelings when it comes to the conflict. Let people know how you feel about the conflict. I, identify what you would like to see happening, what you would like the end result to be. O, the outcome. Express what you would like to see happening while remaining open to suggestions. Be open to other people and hear what they've got to say. And U, ensure that each member understands the agreement that is reached. That is, that they're also willing to move forward under the new agreement to resolve the conflict. My name's Graham Ward, and I thank you for listening to this Unit Standard. I'll see you at the next Unit Standard.